Good day. Today we want to begin a reading of chapter 36 entitled The Impending Conflict from the book Great Controversy. It will be a new series where every day we would look at one page of this chapter and glean from it truths that we can apply to our living in these last days. Please get your copy of the Great Controversy online or your physical copy, and you can follow along with me. Let us begin. From the very beginning of the Great Controversy in heaven, it has been Satan's purpose to overthrow the law of God. It was to accomplish this that he entered upon his rebellion against the Creator. And though he was cast out of heaven, he has continued the same warfare upon the earth, to deceive men and thus lead them to transgress God's law is the object which he has steadfastly pursued. Whether this be accomplished by casting aside the law altogether or by rejecting one of its precepts, the result will be ultimately the same. He that offends in one point manifests contempt for the whole law. His influence and example are on the side of the transgression. He becomes guilty of all. James 2:10. This first chapter tells us that it has always been Satan's purpose and plan to disrupt God's law. And because he has attempted this unsuccessfully in heaven and God cast him out onto the earth, he persists in his same plan, which is to create within man and mankind altogether the negative impacts of disobedience. Disobedience to God's eternal laws. And we are seeing that if we offend, if Satan can get us to offend in one point, he does not need us to offend all 10, just one. We are guilty of all. In continuing, it says, in seeking to cast contempt upon the divine statutes, Satan has perverted the doctrines of the Bible, and errors have thus become incorporated into the faith of thousands of who profess to believe the scriptures. The last great conflict between truth and error is but the final struggle of the long-standing controversy concerning the law of God. Upon the battle we are now entering, a battle between the laws of men and the precepts of Jehovah, between the religion of the Bible and the religion of fable and tradition. This is also important because here Sister White, under the inspiration, highlights that it will be the final struggle for mankind. We are seeing the people of the world are aligning themselves, and it's all talking about ways and means that they can seemingly make life better for mankind. But it appears that their ways and their suggestions to make life better are ways that are going to lead to the transgression of God's law. I'm talking about, we are hearing today about green Sabbath and climate Sabbath. We are hearing these things, but in essence, all of these purposes, albeit from a good point of view and a good perspective, are based on transgressing God's eternal law, which is reverence to his seventh day Sabbath and all his commandments. We are continuing. We must ensure that all that mankind do, all that mankind says, all the laws that mankind enacts must not get us to transgress God's law. And that is something that we must ensure, because God's law is the final arbiter between us doing right and us doing wrong. It says that the agencies which will unite against truth and righteousness in this contest are now actively at work. God's holy word, which has been handed down to us at such a cost of suffering and blood, is but little valued. The Bible is within the reach of all, but there are few who really accept it as the guide of life. Infidelity prevails to an alarming extent, not in the world merely, but in the church. Many have come to deny doctrines which are the very pillars of the Christian faith. The great facts of creation as presented by the inspired writers, the fall of man, the atonement, and the perpetuity of the law of God are practically rejected, either wholly or in part, by a large share of the professed Christian world. Thousands who pride themselves upon their wisdom and independence regard it as an evidence of weakness to place implicit confidence in the Bible. They think it a proof of superior talent and the learning to cavil at the scriptures and to spiritualize and explain away their most important truths. Many ministers are teaching their people, and many professors and teachers are instructing their students that the law of God has been changed, and those who regard its requirements as still valid, to be literally obeyed, are thought to be deserving only of ridicule or contempt. Here we see that infiltrating our churches are men who are being sent there with a purpose to disrupt the pillars of our faith. We are seeing the things that the Christian church once stood for are no longer being held in high regard. Our doctrines, our pillars of faith are no longer important to us because it takes away from our attention to life as it is today. You see, because we have grown so accustomed to compromising our Christianity that what seemed to be compromised has now become something as if it is true and a way of life, when in fact it has deviated from the law of God and the Holy Scriptures. God is saying to us through His prophet that the church needs to get back to the foundation of our faith. This brings the end of our reading for today. Please join us tomorrow, same time, where we continue the reading of chapter 36, entitled The Impending Conflict. Thank you.